And joining me right now here on the Mark Moses Show to talk all things sports here on a Tuesday is my great friend, Chris Bonanno. He does a great job with multiple publications here in Brevard County. I will let him introduce himself. Chris, how you doing today?
Yeah, so I work as a freelance reporter for the Viera Voice, Senior Life, Everything Brevard. Still for now, a coach with the Cocoa High School baseball program, and really wish we could be talking about positive things involving my New York Yankees, but we had another calamity last night.
Not good. After a weekend of losing to the Miami Marlins, who were doing Sweet Caroline to troll your Yankees. Is that what happened?
That is what happened, and the allegedly unstoppable juggernaut lost 8-2 to the Astros last night uh, in the Marlins. The Yankees looked pretty good for a while. The formula looked like it worked, right? The new relievers came in. We're doing great. Bednar, Doval. For I don't know what reason, Devin Williams is still the closer of this team, and he gave up a home run to tie it in the ninth inning to a hitter hitting 132, Jock Peterson. Then in the 10th inning, after they grounded into a double play to quell a threat, uh, in the bottom half, they intentionally walked Wyatt Langford to get to Jace Young, who promptly hit a 3-run home run to win the game. And they then sent to the minor leagues the pitcher that gave up the home run, who they traded at least one, if not two, good prospects to get from Colorado last week. So it's a bit of a nightmare right now for the Yankees, and they are very close to not being in a playoff spot, which, considering where they were in May, is shocking.
It is shocking. All right. So I was talking to you on the phone yesterday about this, where Sunday night I had to go on Spectrum TV to break down the Tampa Bay Rays, who are on this like crazy 12-game road trip. And what's funny is I'm looking at the stats and I'm looking at the standings. I did not have the Yankees being 4 or 5 out of the division, and that Boston be right there. Toronto's leading it. I know you're not big on Toronto right now, but it's like, what's happening? If I would have told you this in spring training, this is where it would be right now in the division. Would you also be in shocked right now by what's going on?
Well, when Garrett Cole went down, you kind of revised your expectations for the Yankees a little bit, but then Max Fried stepped up, Carlos Rodon stepped up. Now, in fairness, the Yankees have 3/5 of their rotation has been, Clark Schmidt and Garrett Cole have gotten Tommy John. Luis Heel just came back and made his first start against the Marlins last week, so they've really not had 3/5 of the rotation for large stretches. But the lineup has, by and large, been healthier, other than this latest Judge injury. He's coming back tonight as a DH. Lineup's been pretty healthy. Bullpen fairly healthy. Some injuries to the back end of it, but or to the front end of it, I should say. But largely, when you have a payroll this large, and it's the way they lose, right? I understand what Jazz Chisholm was doing. You can't get doubled up on a pop up. You can't. Uh, in the ninth inning of a game against the Rays, Austin Wells gets doubled off on a bunt because he thinks there's 2 outs and he wanders off second base. And how do you bunt into a double play? Like this is stuff that doesn't happen to other teams. Jose Caballero just whiffing on a ground ball in right field.
Right. Is
It's just
that on? Okay, then I'll put you on the spot. Is that on the manager? Is he to blame? Because this team was in the World Series last year. How are you letting those types of plays happen? Is it maybe it's the dog days, but you got to blame Boone for some of this, right?
So I look at this as more of an organizational thing, and we'll go back to the World Series last year. You referenced it. Why'd the Yankees lose Game 5? Well, fundamentals, right? Judge, Aaron Judge of all people drops a fly ball. They don't cover first base on a ground ball to first base. Volpe makes an error. You're seeing Volpe make error after error. He leads the league in errors this year. Uh, it seems to be an organizational thing, but then it's odd. Like I mentioned Caballero, right? So Caballero makes that play in his very first game as a Yankee. Now you could have argued that you could have had Austin Slater out there at the time instead of Caballero, who's more of a traditional outfielder. But Caballero's got experience out there, and it's a ground ball to right field. Like it just seems like, I think right now, watching them, I read this last night. they are so tight. Like they're almost expecting what's going to go wrong next rather than how are we going to win this game.
Well, you got less than 2 months to go. Hey, if Boston wants it, they can take it. If Toronto wants it, I think it's completely up for grabs, this division. Do you feel that way?
I do. I think the Red Sox are going to win the division. I love their young talent. Roman Anthony's come up and been a really, really good player for them, as you might expect from the number one prospect in baseball. Alex Bregman's back for them. A lot of hand wringing about Rafael Devers being traded. They've done pretty well since he's left. And they've got Garrett Crochet, who is the best pitcher in the division. And it's
great.
a comfort.
And my team had him. We didn't want to pay him. And he's on the Red Sox now, talking about my pale host.
You get Kyle Teal, who's a very good catcher for them. Looks pretty good.
Yes. It's not the first time Boston has stolen the best pitcher for the White Sox to help.
Or a lefty that strikes out a lot of guys. Yeah.
It's not the first time. It probably won't be the last time. Yeah, it's funny with that Devers trade, $300 million. And that started in spring training when he said he ain't playing that position and got rid of him out of the clubhouse. They got better. It's like wild to think.
And San Francisco has sunk like a stone since they've traded for him.
And you still got to pay him. It's all guaranteed money, all of it. We were talking about the Rays where, look, 12-game road trip, 12 game, that's not normal. And I know it's from this crazy schedule they have to do, but I don't think any team can survive that many games on the West Coast. I think you have to go. I know they lost last night. You got to go at least 9-3 to have any type of hope. I don't see it happening. What do you think of a team that's below 500 and you have to take this type of trip?
So this was always the problem with the Rays, right? They had to build an advantage coming up to this because it's not just – there's really no rest for the weary right now, right? Their schedule, they just were in New York. They lost 3 or 4 to the Yankees, which is something right now. And then they went home. They got one series before they went back on the road, and they play the Dodgers. And they get 2 out of 3 in the Dodgers. So your home games are either are in essentially heat, humidity, and your road game are lengthy. So this was always going to happen. They had such a front-loaded schedule, which they had to, right? And even 2 of the 3 games were in the afternoon against the Dodgers. So I just have to think it wears down on you. They did some selling. They did some adding too, but they did get rid of Zach Littell. They brought in Griffin Jacks. Jonathan Aranda having an injury to his wrist and being out at least a few weeks. That's a huge blow. He's been so good for them. He's like I would argue, their best hitter. It just feels like it's too much for the Rays to overcome. And it just feels like this just isn't their year, quite honestly. But I think ever since you knew they were going to play at Steinbrenner Field, the deck was stacked against them a little bit.
I think everyone has asked me the same questions after they sold the team. Okay, where are they playing next year? And I know I had Neil Salantz, who does radio for the Rays Network. He's like, yeah, we're playing at the Trop next year. We're going to do that. So I think that's official. They will play there next year. But what is the future of this team? With new ownership, I still don't know what's going to happen. What about you, Chris, when you look at the future of this franchise?
Everything you're hearing is we want to stay in Tampa Bay. We want to stay in Tampa Bay. If you talk to locals there, they'll tell you if you build that stadium in Tampa, you're not going to have the attendance issues versus whether you have it in St. Petersburg. I suspect in time that's where it's going to be. They had everything pretty well flooded. It's kind of crazy when you think about it. What if we don't have a hurricane last year right south of Tampa Bay? They may have that stadium deal all done, and you, who knows, your ownership group might have stayed. But the acrimony between the Stu Sternberg group and local municipalities just became so toxic. Had to be one of the reasons why. And you hope that this new ownership group, especially when they get a stadium, they may not have a Yankee payroll, but you'd hope with a market like that they might get to maybe a more mid-sized payroll. I mean, beyond that, I think we may have some sort of collective bargaining thing coming down the pike that may force them to spend more. But for now, I think a new ownership group is good. The Orlando thing is not happening. And as long as there is a team in Tampa Bay, there is no chance Orlando will ever get a team.
I think about the last 5 years where, all right, we're going to be in Ybor City. No, that's not going to happen. Oh, hey, we're going to play half our games in Montreal. No, not going to happen. Remember, they had the press conference at that, what is that, Salvador Dali Museum? I remember this. They were out there. We're going to play half our games in Montreal.
Trying to spin that as a good thing to people of Tampa Bay was hilarious.
It's terrible. So you did that, and then we're going to have the new stadium here. It didn't work. I think they stay in the Tampa Bay region, but I think this is still up for grabs where a stadium might be. I'm not sure what's going to happen here. I'm intrigued to see, especially when that new ownership finally gets the keys to the castle. Then we'll see what happens, Chris.
It sounds like he's already met with the mayor and sort of like kind of paving the road for, trying to start off on the right foot, essentially,
Good.
as opposed to what Sue Sternberg had done. And so it's look, I think anybody is a upgrade from what they were doing. The fans really did not like that ownership group. And so hopefully it's a good thing for the Rays. If you got that organization, the way they do business, even to a league average payroll, that'd be something.
Look, I've told you this for years. The fact that they're even competitive in that division against those other monster giants of franchises, including your Yankees, is a Disney movie. It's incredible. And of any franchise, how do they keep showing up with 20-year-old superstars in the waiting? They get rid of one, there's another guy that just shows up.
It's kind of crazy, right? Wander Franco was seen as this generational talent at shortstop. Obviously, the legal issues destroyed that career, it appears. But in his place, granted, he's not playing shortstop, he's playing third. Junior Caminero might hit 40 home runs this year. Like for an infielder on the left side of the infield, that is incredible. So for them to do what they do, kind of almost in a way mastered that Patriots thing of getting rid of a player 1 year too early rather than 1 year too late. Yes. That's kind of their MO, and just sort of recycling those prospects. It's really impressive. And if what I think happens, if I think the owners are going for a salary cap, you might get a salary floor. The Rays are really well positioned for that, but I do think we're heading for some sort of major reorganization economically in baseball.
See, I wanted to ask you that question. Are you in favor or are you against the salary cap? Me, before you answer, I am for it. I am, even though, hey, we expanded wild cards. All these new teams constantly make the playoffs. Hey, Texas won the World Series 2 years ago. I want a salary cap because I look at teams like Pittsburgh. There's no hope they'll ever do anything. I want a salary cap. How about you?
So, in a perfect world, even though I'm a Yankees fan, it's the only. Now, I don't like the idea of a hard cap like you have in the NFL. How about a soft cap where you can go over it, a la the NBA, where you can go over it to re-sign your own guys? That I think is worth it. I think a salary floor would also be good. That way, you don't have an owner like a small market owner just pocketing the revenue sharing, like they're putting it into their. But here, let me ask you a question.
Okay.
And I saw this question posed online. Would you be okay with the 2027 season not happening if it meant a salary cap?
No, you can't lose a season.
I think those are your choices.
You're correct. I'm going to say this right now. This is not 1995, which, 94, 95 really hurt baseball.
It still hurt baseball to this day.
The world we live in now with sports, you can't compete with football. Every day you're on the sidelines, football's going to keep getting more popular. You cannot. If you lose a season, then whatever, we don't need you. There'll be a hard truth in the face where you'll miss us. No, there's too many other options for entertainment. You cannot have a work stoppage. You can't.
There will be some sort of a work stoppage in 2027.
I could see that. Okay, they lose a couple weeks. You can't lose the whole season. You're crazy.
It depends. I mean, if the owners go for this cap, oh boy, because they're the last league without a salary cap. Right, the other three leagues have gone for it. So,
all right, here's what I'd say if I'm the players. Oh, you want a salary cap? Then why did you give Juan Soto, $700 million. Why are you handing out these contracts now? So it's funny. They hand them out to win, but then when they have to pay the bill, they're upset now.
Now there's a counter argument to that, which is why can't the owners of Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay and the Athletics, why can't they spend more money? Right. So what we're trying to do, right, is we're trying to make it so that it's still, obviously economically viable for owners to own a baseball team, but we want to make it so that the Dodgers aren't outspending a team by $300 million or the Mets. Like, that's just not fair. That doesn't happen in the NFL or the NBA or the NHL. That's why in hockey, Winnipeg can be as competitive with the Rangers, or Green Bay can be as competitive with the Giants, etc. Like, that's where a salary cap is important, because right now, honestly, all the teams can't win in MLB. Like, the Pittsburgh Pirates didn't even try this year.
No, they didn't. Look, Oakland, which is now just called the Athletics, and the Rays don't even have stadiums right now. Now, again, one's a hurricane, one's waiting to go there. This is the same reality as the Phillies, Mets, Dodgers. Like, I don't get it. I don't. That's not fair. You got to have some type of competitive balance here.
Right. I mean, look at the NBA, right? The Oklahoma City Thunder just won the NBA championship. Would that happen in baseball?
No.
Probably not.
No. Look, the argument, and I like this discussion, by the way. Again, 2 years ago, it was Arizona and Texas for the World Series.
Sure.
This past year, it was the Yankees and Dodgers. We'll see what it is like this postseason.
Of the final four teams, right? 3 of them were the Yankees, the Mets, and the Dodgers. It was like, it's like we're just throwing our wallets at the problem.
Yeah, and if you're a Mets fan, I think of like John Torres and Jerry Durney and JC, like all these different guys I know. They're thinking, yeah, we're spending all this money, we still can't win the World Series. What is this? After a while,
they've got a good team this year, but the NL is just it's crazy how much better the NL is than the AL. So those playoffs will be something.
All right, before I let you go, and you got to come back on, we'll talk high school football the closer we get. I like this discussion. All right, so let's just go over the Cliff Note answers for you. Okay. So you say yes to a work stoppage in 27. You see it happen.
I mean, no one wants to see it. I think it will happen, right? The CBA expires on, I believe it's December 1st, 2026. That's the new league year. So, like, that off season. So I think you might see teams really, really go for it next year. Just go crazy.
And then you're saying the Rays will stay in Tampa.
Rays are going to stay in Tampa.
And no third team is going to Orlando, which
not a chance. I mean, I get it. Almost makes me upset, to be perfectly honest with you, when people think there's a third team. Like, no, we've got 2 teams in Florida. Neither one of them are particularly well supported. Why are we doing a third team an hour away? No chance. I do not understand it. I wish it would happen. But the Orlando Dreamers name is particularly apt, because that is like, it's fantasy.
It'd be more realistic. Seriously. Us getting a third hockey team. That's the crazier one, where I could actually see that happening, because they have so much success in the state of Florida.
If they were going to do it, I would say Jacksonville more so, just because that North Florida market really isn't involved. But I would think Orlando is pretty well embedded with the Lightning. The Panthers obviously have just taken a hold of South Florida. That would be interesting. And, Jacksonville, I guess, population-wise, I guess it's bigger than Tampa and Miami. But yeah.
I feel like, and I can't believe I'm going to say this, Florida is home to spring training baseball, and everyone loves it. But I think there's more support for hockey in this state than there is the 2 Major League Baseball teams.
Well, they're good now. That's a part of it. If they were cellar dwellers, no, it probably wouldn't be as much. But look, they've combined to go to the last 6 NHL finals. Like, that's why you got support, right?
That's why I always joke, Chris, what's Florida known for? I'm like, hockey. We're good of any sport, of winning championships right now.
It used to be college football, right? But now it's hockey.
We'll find out. Chris, my man, thank you so much for coming on. Have a great day, and I hope I can get you on again sometime.
Thank you.